Hello anime fans and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Sung JinWoo and see what happens if he goes up against Ainz and also Cid Kagenou. Sung JinWoo is a Shadow Monarch from Solo Leveling. Unlike Cid Kagenou and Ainz Sung JinWoo was never isekai into another world. He actually died and stayed in his own world. Sung JinWoo had to put his life on the line in order to earn his powers and abilities. It was not given to him by any isekai magic. Also, Sung JinWoo had something to fight for. With his mother comatose in the hospital and had to pile up hospital bills, and Sung JinWoo being the sole guardian of his little sister, the only gainful employment available to JinWoo in order for him to make enough money to support his sister and his mother was to go be in the dungeons. Unlike Cid Kagenou, who just did a makeshift cosplay of Batman with a crowbar, and also Ainz who just missed playing video games with his buddies, Sung JinWoo was about that life. He actually earned every bit of power that he had gained throughout his story. Cid Kagenou's former life was Minaru Kagenou. He was a gifted 17-year-old student that basically spent his time putting a shiesty mask on and fighting criminals with crowbars. Even though Cid Kagenou's powers and abilities are formidable with atomic magic and swords and skills, he does not stand a chance against Ainz or Sung JinWoo. So as far as strength and skills go, the Eminence in the Shadow will look like a discount poser compared to the one and true Shadow Monarch. Cid Kagenou's magic powers and abilities: swordsmanship and martial arts. Cid has mastered sword fighting and hand-to-hand combat, magic manipulation. Cid can use his previous knowledge to create powerful, versatile magic spells and techniques. Cid can use his magic for offense, defense, and support, including advanced techniques like atomic radar. Cid's iconic nuclear magic I Am Atomic spell, which is a devastating technique with an impact of a nuclear strike that includes an area effect explosion. Before we rule out the edgelord Cid Kagenou, Eminence of the Shadow, let's go over some of his powers and abilities. Cid Kagenou's powers and abilities are swordsmanship and martial arts. Cid has mastered sword fighting and hand-to-hand combat along with magic manipulation. Cid uses his knowledge of his previous life to create a powerful, versatile magic spells and techniques. Cid can use magic for offense, defense, and support, including advanced techniques like atomic radar. Cid's iconic nuclear magic I Am Atomic spell, which is a devastating technique with the impact of a nuclear strike that includes an area effect explosion. Slime-based equipment with endless applications such as slime weapons and slime armor that are highly adaptable and powerful. Cid uses slime tentacles and slime ball projectiles for versatile combat strategies. Ainz, the Sorcerer King, is a very powerful mage and necromancer. Ainz can hold his own in a fight. In fact, he can solo a whole army with a few spells. Ainz excels in magic, however, he can use hand-to-hand combat with special items equipped. Ainz is way overpowered for his anime world, and he has some very powerful floor guardians that are more than capable to protect both Ainz and the Great Tomb of Nazareth. Ainz was formerly a gamer named Suzuki Satoru. While in game, he was called Amunga, and he was a guild master of the gamer guild called Ainz. After being isekai into another world, he changed his name to Ainz, the same name as his former guild. He spent countless hours and money on the online DMMORPG game called Yggdrasil, where he created a formidable guild hall named the Great Tomb of Nazareth. Ainz always collected in-game items regardless of the value and will store most of those items in a private room in Nazareth. When it came down to combat, he always tries to plan ahead and strategize even down to the smallest details beforehand in order to avoid endangering himself and Nazareth, which contributed to why he was chosen to be the guildmaster in the first place. At first, I thought there was not much to Ainz other than being an overpowered isekai character that used his powers to take over the world. As an anime fan, they had me at overpowered, since it is rare for isekai main characters to get any depth at all. Ainz's story seems similar to the countless generic isekai main characters we've seen over the years. However, after researching this video, I found out how tragic Ainz's life was in the real world prior to being isekai. Ainz real name is Suzuki Satoru. In his younger days, he had a mother and father. His mother died from working herself to death. She came home one day after work and went to the kitchen to make her son Satoru his favorite food. Satoru watched his mother fall over and die right before his eyes. Satoru's father tried his best to help Satoru overcome the trauma of his mother's death. After some time, when Satoru became an adult, he lived a mediocre life as a salaryman with poor working conditions and low pay, but just high enough to get by. The breathing air outside was toxic and polluted in his real-world life, making Satoru have to wear a air filtering mask and goggles so he does not get exposed to toxic air. The streets would be littered with bodies of the poor, starving, and forgotten people of his world. Satoru's real life was very dystopian. Satoru's only escape was in the video game Yggdrasil, which he played every day with his friends that were the guild members of the Ainz. The guild had many in-game adventures together. However, due to the real-world issues, 37 out of the 41 guild members stopped playing the game and deleted their accounts and characters. They gave all their items and gear to Amunga, Ainz' gamer name, as a final goodbye. As the guild master, Amunga kept the guild running, logging in every day and gathering gold and items to keep the guild running so he can play the game once more with his friends. Now that we have the back breakdown of Ainz, Cid, and JinWoo, let's make a scenario where these three characters fight each other. Let's say Cid and JinWoo find a magic portal that they are compelled to enter. They enter the portal only to end up in a large dungeon called the Tomb of Nazareth. The floor guardians attack both Cid and JinWoo. Cid uses his sword and magic to defeat some of Nazareth's weaker monsters, and JinWoo summons his his shadow soldiers to overwhelm the floor guardians he meets. At this point, Ainz is enraged that invaders have the audacity to attack the great tomb of Nazareth. I will have my AI assistant narrate the powers, abilities, and battle breakdown from here.
Now, in critiquing and analyzing who the most powerful ruler of the shadows is, there may be some spoilers, however, for the viewers that have not seen this show or read the manga and or manhwa. I'm not going to get too deep into the lore and world building, just focus on powers and abilities and who's the better and most powerful ruler in the shadows. Scaling these three characters is going to be difficult because all three are very powerful, but rarely face off against enemies with similar power levels and abilities than the other. For example, Ainz in his anime has never battled against someone as strong as Cid. The same goes for Sung JinWoo, who has not fought someone with abilities similar to Ainz Ooal. JinWoo has fought with other mages, but none of them was as strong as Ainz. The only person that comes close is Yogamont, the Monarch of Transfiguration, who is a powerful sorcerer, but Yogamont needed help from two other monarchs to have a fight chance against Sung JinWoo. Besides, the only thing Ainz and Yogamont have in common is the over-the-top purple robes, and being a sorcerer, Yogamont does not have that much in common with the great Aniz Ooal. In the solo leveling story, JinWoo made quick work taking down Yogamont. Yogamont may be the weakest monarch of them all. Also, Cid's battles have been all one-sided in his anime, with not a single person even giving him hardly a fraction of a challenge. Combatants overview, Sung JinWoo. Let's start off with Sung JinWoo powers and abilities. As the second Shadow Monarch, Sung JinWoo has immense physical strength, durability, and combat mastery. His physical abilities are immeasurable. In addition, he has accelerated development where he rapidly becomes stronger through battles as he levels up. JinWoo can alter memories with memory manipulation and hypnotize others. He has an unlimited inventory that stores a countless number of items and weapons in his shadow. Also has longevity and regenerates from non-fatal wounds, immune to diseases, poisons, and aging, making him near immortal. Stealth and bloodlust can become invisible and induce fear, lowering enemy stats. Telekinesis moves and controls objects with ruler's authority and can even control the air around him. Dragon's Fear releases a mana-infused shout inducing despair. Shadow Army can extract and control shadows of defeated enemies. Shadow Exchange, teleportation via shadows. Ainz Ooal, powers and abilities, Overlord and Necromancer. Commands a vast array of undead and powerful magic. Immunities and resistances, immune to physical, magical, and elemental attacks below a certain tier. Despair auras causes fear, panic, confusion, insanity, and instant death. Create and control undead, summons and dominates various undead beings. Super tier magic, spells that can reshape the battlefield and summon catastrophic events. Reality Slash, a 10th tier spell that is top class in damage dealing, but consumes a lot of mana. It is capable of cleaving through the very fabric of space, and a hit from this powerful attack spell can disregard virtually any form of magical defense. Ultimate defensive spells, high-tier spells like Greater Teleportation, Dimensional Lock, an 8th tier spell that allows the user to render the enemy's teleportation and transfer magic as unusable, and Perfect Unknowable, a 9th tier spell makes the user invisible, erasing traces of sight and sound, giving Aniz control of the battlefield. Special skills called The Goal of All Life is Death, which has an instant death effect. Meteor Fall, a 10th tier spell that causes a falling meteor to fall from the sky with shimmering light. The meteor rips through the air and hits its intended target, then creates a burst of explosion upon contact. This spell can match Cid's I Am Atomic attack. Meteor can cause more damage than I Am Atomic at first impact, but Cid's nuclear magic may leave radioactive poison in its aftermath. However, JinWoo and Aniz are immune to all poisons, so that is irrelevant. Time Stop, a 10th tier spell that stops the enemy for a specific amount of time. No attacks will work or can be used while time is stopped. Way to counter. Against Cid Kagenou, Ainz's powerful spells and undead summons can counter Cid's physical and magical attacks. His time stop can freeze CD in place for a decisive strike. Against Sun JinWoo, Ainz's magical versatility and high-tier magic immunity could negate many of JinWoo's attacks. His ability to summon and control powerful undead could match JinWoo's shadow army. Battle analysis, combat dynamics. 1. Initial engagement, CID would likely start with I am atomic variations to gauge his opponent's capabilities and create an initial shockwave of destruction. JinWoo would summon his shadow army to engage and distract while using his own immense strength and speed to test the waters. Ainz would cast defensive and area control spells like Greater Teleportation and Dimensional Lock, summoning mid-tier undead to engage initially. 2. Mid-battle strategies. CD would use his slime-based equipment for both offense and defense, utilizing his stealth and agility to avoid direct hits from Ainz's and JinWoo's attacks. JinWoo would exploit his regenerative abilities and teleportation via shadows to stay mobile, attacking weak points of Ainz's undead army. Ainz would escalate to higher-tier magic like Reality Slash and Time Stop to control the battlefield, targeting both JinWoo and Cid with precise, deadly spells. 3. Clashing abilities. CD's I Am Atomic could potentially disintegrate many of Ainz's lower-tier undead and cause massive damage to JinWoo's shadow army. JinWoo's Dragon's Fear and Bloodlust would likely affect Ainz's undead less, but could disorient Cid, making him susceptible to follow-up attacks. Ainz's super-tier magic like Fallen Down and Ia Shub Niggurath could create large-scale devastation, forcing both JinWoo and Cid to constantly adapt their strategies. 4. Final phase. JinWoo would capitalize on his accelerated development and regenerative abilities to outlast Cid and Ainz, growing stronger as the battle progresses. CID would aim to use his most powerful techniques in rapid succession, hoping to overwhelm his opponents before they adapt. Ainz would leverage his vast magical repertoire and defensive spells, using time stops strategically to create decisive openings. Conclusion: who would win? While all three combatants are extraordinarily powerful and versatile, Sun JinWoo has the most significant edge in terms of adaptability and longevity. His accelerated development allows him to rapidly close the gap in any weaknesses exposed during the battle, and his regenerative abilities ensure he can withstand prolonged combat. His shadow army provides both offensive and defensive support, creating a dynamic battlefield that constantly evolves in his favor. Ainz Ooal would pose the greatest challenge with his vast array of spells and undead minions, but his reliance on magic could be countered by JinWoo's physical resilience and ability to close distances quickly. Cid Kagenou brings a unique mix of physical prowess and nuclear magic, but his comparatively lower durability and dependence on slime-based equipment may ultimately fall short against JinWoo's relentless assault and strategic prowess. Winner: in a drawn-out battle, Ainz Ooal is likely to emerge victorious due to his extensive magical capabilities, strategic mind, and ability to counter both physical and magical attacks effectively. His mastery of various spells and ability to summon powerful allies gives him a critical advantage over both Cid Kagenou and Sun JinWoo. However, Sun JinWoo has well over 1,000 years of memories of battle skills and experience of his predecessor Ashbourne, which will give him an edge in this fight. Ainz Ooal is a powerful mage. His abilities are not suitable for PvP or 1v1 battles. If Sun JinWoo takes down Cid fast, then Arise to extract his shadow, then a Shadow Soldier verse of Cid and Sun JinWoo can quickly beat Ainz Ooal, but it will be a very close call either way. Either Ainz spam his magic spells and summons to wear down Sun JinWoo and win the long game, or Sun JinWoo takes out Ainz in a short time, or forces Ainz to use all his magic power, leaving him defenseless. Thank you for watching till the end. Leave a comment of who you think would win. Also look forward to my next video, Anime's Most Sinister Tyrants, where you find out who's the worst of the worst.